All right, how's it going, everyone? This is the week 18 update of building our Ryan Homes St. Lawrence, and hard to believe we've gotten here this quickly as far as the overall construction progress goes, but we have basically reached the completion of our new build here. And so in this video, I'm going to cover a few key things. So first, I'm going to talk about any of the updates that occurred on the home in the past week. Not a ton to cover here, but if you watched either my week 16 or week 17 update videos, which I'll leave a link to above and in the description below that you can check out, you'll know that there were a number of pending, outstanding fix items on the exterior and interior that our PM was working on, so we'll talk a little bit about those. And I'll cover some community progress and maybe give just a few thoughts on the overall build process here and what we went through, maybe give a couple tips and tricks along the way. And then I'm going to go over the final inspection on the home that we got from our independent inspector and mention any items that he found in the home there. And then I'll take you through our final walkthrough that we captured with our PM. You can see and learn about all the different parts of the home and everything he went over as far as that goes. So this is definitely going to be a longer one, perhaps similar to the week 8 pre-drywall stage video if you saw that video on the channel. So definitely sit tight, maybe grab a snack or a drink and prepare for a little bit of home building 101, at least in terms of our particular experience. So in terms of updates that have taken place in the past week, you might remember mentioning that we noticed sort of an unfinished rough area of the stone water table, at least below the ledge that we mentioned to RPM, and we're certainly hoping to get something cleaned up and corrected there. So in the past week, the stone crew has come out and added an additional layer of stone below the ledge to cover up some of those rougher areas, showing the exposed foundation for the garage. And I definitely think this looks better and a lot more aligned with some of the cleaner stone installations we've seen on whether some other Ryan builds or other community builds. It's a slight touch, but I really think it adds a nice amount of character to the home. And fun fact, as we've seen stone getting added to other builds in the community, it looks like they've been paying a bit more attention to this area with the other homes. So certainly a good lesson they're keeping in mind, I think, going forward. Of course, you can tell still by looking at our property overall that the sod has not been laid. Also worth noting, our irrigation system has not been installed yet on the lawn. This is all going to take place in the coming weeks, and you're going to hear a little bit about this when we go through our final walkthrough with our PM. But it's worth noting when you get to that final stage, not all items will necessarily be 100% complete. Ryan does and will make note of this in the walkthrough, and so basically they will have essentially an IOU for things they still need to take care of, and in our case, our PM will be working with us to get some of these items cleaned up in the coming weeks. That includes also items found in the final inspection. Our PM, at least in our case, will be responsible for handling and addressing those, not the warranty team. But of course, Ryan does have a warranty team that you have for the duration of their standard warranty, certainly within that initial year period where they cover essentially everything in the home. They are going to be the ones that you'd want to follow up with longer term, but there are still some shorter term things when you get to that final closing stage that your PM is still going to handle. Now, just as a fun fact, this video was captured on Friday, March 28th, and our closing on the home was Friday, March 31st. I say was because I'm filming this voiceover technically a couple weeks after. Now, again, as far as additional fixes go, I did note the downspout, and it's sort of less than ideal placement next to the right of our larger 2-car garage, at least in our 3-car garage setup. Now, this technically wasn't corrected at the time we did the final walkthrough, but by the time we had closing on the house, on, again, the 31st of March, our PM had gotten this fixed, and so this was relocated to the side to be a little more inconspicuous. Again, yet another thing that never hurts to ask about. Now again, there were several more smaller fixes taking place along the interior. I'm not going to cover every single one of them. You will see a couple of those referenced in the final inspection, but needless to say, our PM was going through the home and taking care of many of these, and had done so, I would say probably addressing at least 80 to 90% of these at the time we were here in the community. As far as community progress goes overall, you can do your own counting, but I see 26 homes that are at various stages of construction here at this point. Again, worth noting, we are the first folks to close in our community, and really the first home to be built if we exclude the model here. So when you are one of the first, you are, of course, one of the guinea pigs of the community for a lot of different things. That has its pros and cons, but that might be a good segue to go into some of my overall thoughts and maybe some different things you might want to think about if and when you go through your own build, whether with Ryan or any new home construction. And while I go through this, I'll just show some B-roll on screen of the community progress and some different footage I captured here on this day. I had ample time, of course, to capture some of this in between our final inspection and walkthrough. So first and foremost, it is really worth noting, and you might be able to tell by just the build series on our particular home on this channel, channel, but Ryan builds these homes extremely quickly, and this process goes by very fast. Honestly, we were looking at homes and, first looked at this community in October, signed paperwork maybe a couple weeks after that. They kicked off construction around Thanksgiving, and 4 months later, we had a whole brand new house that was ready to move into. Now again, everyone's experience, not just with Ryan, but with other builders, is going to vary. But one thing I will say is that once Ryan does kick off your build, the process goes by very fast. Ryan does a really tight timeline with scheduling trades on these builds. They're very active throughout the community, hopping from house to house. They leave no stone unturned in terms of maximizing their schedule and getting these homes ready to go. So what does that ultimately mean for you? I think the main thing you have to think about is, of course, just keeping up with the build. So if you have the opportunity to visit the house, if you have the opportunity to talk to your project manager and get regular updates, technically, again, they should be doing this. They should be sending you updates. They should be providing different photos and things, whether through Photo Circle or via text or whatever method they're comfortable with. But really, you should be doing some due diligence if you have any opportunity or ability to go out to the house, check up on things. Obviously, not everyone can, depending on, where you're moving to and from, or potentially if you're moving, cross state, across country. But Ryan's timeline does ultimately mean that, if you miss a week or two or a month or two of construction, you miss a lot of things that have happened in that time. Now, again, of course, at the end of the day, your PM is there to make things right and make sure the build gets completed to the customer's satisfaction, and ultimately the spec as well, so making sure the contractors do their job. But I think it's a lot easier if and when you see little things come up to be able to address them at the point in time they occur, rather than having to maybe offload all of them till the very end. So certainly if you're building in a nearby area and you have the ability to drive to the house, take the time, go through it, take pictures, take video. Doesn't mean you have to do anything to the extent that I did here, but really I think it's going to save you a lot of time and headaches in the long run, knowing that your build is taking place, knowing that any questions you have are getting addressed and that they can occur at the point in time that those trades are working on the house. Your future self will probably thank you for getting those things taken care of earlier than waiting to do them later. Which also relates to maybe my next point, which is, of course, if you've seen anything from, again, that week 8 pre-drywall construction update video, which has our pre-drywall inspection, or what you're going to see here in our final inspection, definitely get a home inspection done by an independent inspector. Most ideally, of course, get a pre-drywall and a final inspection. You might be able to get by with just a final inspection if you're really looking to save some money, or you, of course, missed the pre-drywall stage and it's a bit late, but certainly get at least one of these, ideally both. They are going to give you so much peace of mind and really help protect your investment, which at the end of the day is your house. And from Ryan's point of view, they're pretty much trained to know that, if they get a certified inspector's report, they will just ask you to forward that along to them, and they are going to take care of at least any of the important or safety hazard type of items. Again, if it's sort of a recommended fix or upgrade, they might not be required to do that, but depending on the situation or the item addressed, your PM might be able to take a look at those as well. So certainly if you don't have a perhaps scrupulous eye or have the time to go through the house and do some of these things in terms of checking on the build progress overall, asking these questions yourself, getting a good inspector to do that at the pre-drywall and at the final stage, that is going to be one of the other ways you can make sure that you got what you paid for in terms of getting your house built. Now, the other thing I will say here in terms of the options selected, again, the process goes by very quickly, and that includes, I think, even Ryan's initial sale process. So it is not uncommon, to go through a community, have Ryan spec you out a house, and they're ready for you to essentially sign a contract if you are at that stage. Needless to say, these homes have literally hundreds of options on them. Everything from little tiny $50 upgrades like upgrading our kitchen faucet to multi-tens of thousands of dollar upgrades like finishing the basement or adding a rear porch onto the home. At the end of the day, some upgrades are going to be a lot easier or harder to make than others. Cosmetic things, small additions, these might be things you can do yourself later, but of course, anything structural, anything that really requires a major electrical, plumbing, HVAC, any sort of change like that, that's going to be a tough one to do later. So really think about the value you're getting out of the different upgrades that you're getting and the different options you're paying for. It's not uncommon for people to say to budget 10 to 20% of your overall home price and account for that as far as your options go and what you'll select. That did line up in our case. Again, this house was priced in at the $670 mark. When all was said and done, we got $80,000 of upgrades, accounting for a total price of around $750,000. And yes, there were options we changed or went back and forth on. We went through at least a few rounds of changing and adding and removing options. So definitely take a little bit of time to go through this and really ask your sales rep what options are available. If you can get the main or master option sheet for your home, go through line by line. Make sure you ask questions about options you're not familiar with, because many of these will be poorly or not intuitively labeled. You might, of course, see many options there that you won't see on the main floor plan spec in terms of different changes you can make. So, of course, really take your time to go through that, think about the options you need versus the options you want, and what overall makes sense for your build. And the last thing I'll mention here is to really, I would say, understand what you're getting, whether from Ryan or when you're getting a new construction build here in the US from a major national builder. Certainly you want to make sure you're getting what you pay for. You want to make sure that the options that you picked, all the different traits of that floor plan, the rooms, everything meets that standard. At the same time, you have to understand, of course, that these major national builders are major national builders. In many cases, and I know this is true of Ryan, they are not really thought of as a large national entity, at least, of course, as far as a lot of these divisions go. So Ryan breaks their builds and communities up by various different divisions and kind of subgroups across the different states or regions of states. Reputationally, a builder that does well in one pocket of the country might not do as well in another. And of course, when you read reviews of these builders online, bear in mind you're seeing some of the worst case examples of what happened in some of these new build situations. There are often a lot of people that go through the process and have at least generally positive things to say. And I would say overall, our experience has been positive thus far. Of course, very, very early, but overall with what we saw and went through, I think we had a pretty good experience here with Ryan. Again, you really can't expect perfection here with these builds. In fact, for what it's worth, I know other folks in the community that had other little gotchas and blips that have occurred along the way. Folks thinking that they paid for an option that wasn't installed and then having to kind of figure out how Ryan wants to deal with that or compensate them for that. These types of situations too are not uncommon. You do have to pick your battles. So things might not be perfect, but you should still be getting the house and the options and everything that you paid for. And truthfully, the advantage of a major national builder is, of course, it's just a lot more work and a lot more expensive to build something similar on your own. So case in point, this is a $750,000 house at around 4,300 finished square feet, which comes to a final price per square foot of around $174 to $175. And that is just extremely, extremely hard to beat when it comes to building a home. There are pitfalls, there are things you have to watch out for. I do think you should keep up with the build, keep up with your PM, and not necessarily saying you need to become a pseudo general contractor throughout it, but keep an eye on things and maybe treat it as though it were something like a custom build that you maybe would need to keep a little more attention and eyes on. Hopefully, if you go the route of doing a new build with a major national builder here, you can get the same out of it that we did with our experience. All right, so enough of my spiel there. Let's go over the final inspection report and see what our inspector found on our new home. All right, so going through our final inspection report here, and yes, worth noting, we did get the same inspector to do our final inspection that did our pre-drywall. I will shout out Andrew Dobbins here from Dobbins Home Inspection. I think he did a great job. So certainly if you're in the South Jersey or Philadelphia area, I would definitely look into his services if you're looking for a home inspection. So again, worth noting, very similar to the pre-drywall stage, there are a number of different items and sort of levels of severity that he tracked. Those in red are important safety hazard items that need to be addressed, essentially, and certainly things that are worth taking a further look into. Those that are in orange or amber are the recommendations. So again, from Ryan's standpoint, they're not required to be addressed, but oftentimes, again, depending on what they are, if you have a PM that's willing to be accommodating, these will be things they are going to look into or, will do at least hopefully some due diligence on, following up on to make sure they're not a major issue. And those that are in blue here are, monitor maintenance items, just something to be aware of and to keep in mind. So getting past the main inspection details of our home and getting down to the structural side, he did find one item worth noting here. And fun fact, again, if you watched a week 17 update video, which if you haven't, I'll leave a link to above and in the description below that you can check out, you'll know that this was one of the 27 or 28 things I think that I found when I went through the house myself. And this is the wall that separates the family room from the side hallway that leads to the study, powder room, and the garage access area. You can see clearly here, this wall is not square. Something I will say is that it looks a lot more plumb towards the top than it does at the bottom. Our PM did already mention that they're going to have drywall and trim contractor come out and fix this. I wouldn't be surprised if this fixes more of a sort of trim adjustment maybe along the bottom than any, major structural changes here, but a little bit of cleaning up could certainly correct this and make it look a lot better. Now, on the exterior side, our inspector did also find that the stone cap here that goes along the stone water table doesn't have quite the proper slope that should be used to drain water from it. Of course, if you have this acting, in a flat surface, or of course, if it were angled towards the windows, that could unintentionally lead to water getting into, the edges of the windows and, potentially penetrating into the home. One thing I will say in this case, again, some of these areas are maybe more important than others. So you'll see this area here is captured outside of the full front porch area. You'll see this one is actually under the front porch. So of course, pretty rare that rain or any water intrusion would be as much of an issue here as it would be in other areas. Again, this falls in the recommendation to address category, so not something we're incredibly concerned about, but something that we'll follow up with our PM on. Now, as far as the roof goes, there are a few things worth pointing out here, and again, some of these won't be a surprise. So of course, as you can see here, the patched area from the blow-off that occurred was spotted and noted by our inspector. We did mention this before. Very likely that the shingles that replaced this blow-off area were from a different lot number than the shingles used initially when they installed the roof. They're still black asphalt architectural shingles. We certainly know what happened here. Not really concerned unless we, of course, spot any leak that would occur from this, but I think overall we're okay here. Now again, not an uncommon one here to see the gutters and downspouts. They're not going to install any extenders here for this to really drain the water away, multiple feet from the home. Ryan, in this case, is going to basically just kind of do the minimum in terms of giving you the gutters, giving you a downspout, and just letting them drain off right by the house. As you can see, they did include and provide splash guards. You might notice they're on backwards. You'll see and hear a little bit more about that when we do the final walkthrough with our PM on maybe some of the logic around that. But at the end of the day, you can choose if you want to get different downspout extenders and drain water away a little more fully from the house. I think this is something we might think about. Not necessarily top of mind unless it becomes an issue. I don't think my parents did this with their home. In the 30 plus years they built new in the 90s, and so hasn't become too much of an issue there. Something we'll think about, but again, not uncommon, not unexpected. I would say for almost any new build, not even just Ryan. Now, as far as this goes, and this is, again, one of the reasons you'd want to get a home inspection, because even in my own drone and sort of keeping progress and tabs on the home, I did not notice this or spot this. Our inspector noted that there were several areas of the roof that did not have flashing and had nails driven into shingles that were just exposed and, should be better sealed or caulked to prevent that from becoming an issue. So this is something we'll definitely follow up on with our PM to make sure it gets corrected there. Now, as far as the plumbing goes overall, you can see some of the different overall services and just the main points that our inspector noted. Really nothing too alarming, I would say, in this case. One thing he did mention, of course, is that the sink faucets here spray water outside the sink basin, and this could, of course, result in a little bit of a messier situation depending on if you're running both taps at full intensity. I'll say this, not very uncommon with new builds or new sink designs in general. Ariel and I live in a newly built quote-unquote luxury apartment. I think every new apartment bills itself as luxury now, and needless to say, the sink installs they did there actually caused much more of a mess and an issue here with the faucet placement and where the water drains. Since in our particular case, the water stream, if you're on full intensity, actually goes beyond the drain and just pretty much splashes up directly in your face. Again, pretty minor thing, nothing I'd worry about too much, but there is something to be said for proper faucet placement, whether in a bathroom vanity, of course also in a kitchen sink, but especially in bathroom vanities, I have seen this in cases where it's been less ideally done than others. Now, another thing he did note is the sump pump location. He mentioned this was a poor discharge location and that the sump pump is discharging, next to the foundation. Again, this is sort of a similar point to what was noted with the gutters and downspouts and draining water away from the home there. Again, something we're not necessarily too concerned about. We will keep an eye on it to make sure water is not intruding into the home, into the basement or any areas, but we'll make sure that that remains a non-issue. Now, on the electrical side, I am actually surprised I didn't notice this, but again, one of the reasons you get a home inspector, we had a receptacle in the second floor hallway that had a broken prong stuck in the outlet. Did not notice this. Of course, I wasn't going around and testing and checking each and every outlet maybe to that degree, but yes, definitely something that needs to be fixed and replaced. Our PM will be taking a look at this. Now, on the heating side, again, not too much to talk about here. Our inspector just noting the various different points of the system in our house. One thing he did mention, and he mentioned this, I believe, in the original pre-drywall inspection report, you can go to the week 8 video and check that out yourself, is that the exhaust for the ERV system is a little bit too close to the air intake. Ultimately, this was recommended, I think, to change out or move. I don't think this was ultimately addressed in the past one, given the fact that this is unlikely to really be a major issue in terms of, the ERV only runs really a limited amount of times a day. In fact, it doesn't have to run at all if you wanted to turn it off. And this recommendation was against the manufacturer's installation requirements, but isn't necessarily, a per code type of violation or anything. So I'll be honest, not particularly concerned, but it is worth noting. And, certainly if we notice any issue there, that's something we would address with the warranty team and, go from there. On the cooling side of the HVAC system, really not too much to talk about here. On the appliance side, again, this is one of the benefits of doing a final inspection, something that our inspector couldn't have done on the pre-drywall. He can really go through all the different appliances, all the different utilities, and make sure everything is working there. One thing he did note in our laundry room is that our setup, and again, this depends on if you have sort of a, inset dryer vent area or you have sort of the dual setup here with the dryer vent, is that there was a dryer vent cap missing. Of course, which could, allow air intrusion into the home, which could become an issue. Now, he recommended a contractor come in to cap that opening, and we were able to tell within at least a handful of days, within and after closing. I forget when it occurred, but this was capped. Now, along the interior, he did notice a couple small things. One was this bulge in the wall in the second floor hallway area. Again, very, very subtle thing. This is something I didn't even spot before, so follow up with our PM on it, but really not overall too concerned here. This is not a structural issue, more of a just visual thing in terms of the wall and plumbness and, what this looks like once you see it. So, again, I will say in terms of the drywall and trim work, there's going to be a lot of little things you're going to see as you go throughout the home. These are small things generally. A lot of them, in many cases, might be items that you can repair, so not too concerned about this, but glad that he spotted it and could point it out. Now, the other one here, in terms of the ceiling and previous repair, he mentioned that, this was noted around the third bedroom attic access area. So this wasn't actually an area of damage that, was the issue of water intrusion or something to that effect. This was actually just a drywall repair requested by myself. Again, if you watched that week 17 update video, again, this was just in the process of being patched and was painted by the time we closed on the home. So good that it was spotted, but not a particular issue in this case. Now, as far as the attic insulation and ventilation goes with that area of the home, it's worth noting that the attic was insulated, but maybe not exactly to the full standards expected. You can see here it's slightly under the R49 line in terms of what would be the ideal amount. Again, that's a subtle thing in this case. I'm not shocked. Not uncommon to have slightly less than the ideal amount of blown-in insulation here in the attic areas. There's a pretty easy fix for them to adjust, and quite frankly, I'm not sure how much we would notice if and when they do fix and add that extra half an inch, so glad that it was spotted, because of course, I hadn't gone up really in the attic area to do any further inspecting myself, but something that we will make sure gets addressed. And going to the final spot of our report here in the garage area, this is an interesting one. Again, I think requirements here have shifted over time in terms of code, different violations. For example, my parents, I mentioned, had a newer build home in the 90s. Their garage door is not auto, self-closing, right? Does not have any sort of hinge or mechanism on there that ensures the door closes itself. This one, of course, in our home does not either. I'll be honest, I don't know if that's a code change that occurred at some point. I'm not particularly concerned about it. In this case, because we know enough if we have cars out there to know to close the garage, or quite frankly, just to keep that door from the garage to the home closed in general. But glad to know that this is actually a thing, and something we'll keep in mind. And so overall, that is our final inspection report. Honestly, our inspector said this, and our PM ultimately said the same. This is one of the better new builds they've inspected. Our inspector's done a lot of Ryan, and really a lot of new builds across the South Jersey area. He knows and has spotted, a number of different things and things he expects to see and find. And really, in terms of some of the typical things, this had, a few of them, but really no major issues as far as he could tell. And from our PM's perspective, who, I will mention probably was due to a lot of my maybe nitpicking and following the build along through its various stages, mentioned that this was one of the tightest homes he thinks he's built in a long time, and that's good to hear. Again, in this case, as soon as I got the inspection report back, we sent this along to our PM, who began looking into any of these, of course, major items that, needed correcting, and we're ensuring that those that need to be addressed will be followed up on. But overall, I think we were pretty pleased to see how the final inspection came out, and overall, the job our PM did with our particular build. And so now, without further ado, let's get into the final walkthrough of our home with our PM. So you can see all the different things he mentions and covers there in terms of our particular build with our St. Lawrence. Still a lot of things to cover in terms of the final walkthrough. So I would say when you go through yours, take notes, pay attention, record it if you can. I will give a shout out to our PM, Matt. He was really good to work with throughout the process. Again, a lot of the reasons that I could provide a lot of this footage and cover things was because he wanted to be and was willing to be transparent with our build. So here is the final walkthrough with our PM.
So I'll have to get the front door color for you.
Okay.
But I'm just going to put sun-dried tomato, and then I'll find that code.
Mm-hmm.
It is a relatively new color. So
Okay.
sun-dried tomato. All right. And then I just gotta I'll send that over to you. So these are your paint codes. None of these the other ones aren't relevant to you. These are all just the array of front door colors that we have. Okay. This yellow sheet, they printed me the wrong one. They printed it for the community next door, but I'm going to send this to you the morning of settlement anyway. Which is, I think you guys are settling at 10 a.m. on Monday.
Yeah.
So I'll have this for you anyway. But all it is a contact for all the contractors that have emergency contacts that worked in your home.
Oh, that's awesome.
So the main ones being obviously the utility companies. So Atlantic City Electric, South Jersey Gas, Aqua New Jersey, who is the water supplier. So those three, you will have to put accounts in your name. So obviously switching over electric, gas, water, all into your name so we can start billing you, or they can start billing you once you move in. From that point, or from the moment of settlement and back, we're billed for everything. Every now and then a customer gets a bill and it just says Ryan Homes. If you get one, just bring it to me. Fine, wave me down, say, hey man, I got a bill, or text me. Like, hey, they sent me a paper bill for Ryan Homes, and I'll take it into the office and they pay that. But once everything's in your name, then you start getting billed for your usage. Smart meters on everything now. So they typically don't even have to walk up to the home to read the meters. They just drive through and the readings go over via Bluetooth or whatever. So that's how most of that's done. AC Electric has an app. South Jersey Gas hasn't quite gotten to an app yet. I'm not sure about Aqua, only because I haven't personally used Aqua where I live. So I imagine it's very similar, though, to a township MUA in terms of billing. So it's probably all done online, but I wouldn't be surprised if Aqua had an application on your phone.
Okay.
Everything else in here. So there are some emergency numbers for plumbing, obviously anything like a burst pipe, something that's an emergency in that regard. Losing your air conditioning during the summer isn't an emergency, but losing your heat in the winter is. So the HVAC emergency number, you can call that number for that. And then again, electric and the gas utility emergency numbers are on there as well. So if there's ever an issue regarding a power outage, you can do outages on the application. Things like that are all accessible through these numbers in the apps that correspond to the utility providers. There's also the GE number on here. There's also a QR code in here. So with your appliances, they all have a 1-year warranty through GE. There are options to extend those as well. And I'll show you the QR codes on those.
Okay.
I'm trying to think anything else on here. The only thing that's different on here is it's just different contractors. So the corrected one will have the right numbers on them.
Okay. For setting up the utilities, is it like online calls or?
So AC Electric, I did mine online or the app. South Jersey Gas, I just called them. Aqua, I believe you'll just call them on the number on here. Okay. So, and you can do it the day of settlement, like after you settle. Just in case, I have your certificate of occupancy, and usually everything is good. But I've had every now and then just something happen and it moved back a day. I just don't want your accounts to be set up before settlement. You know, so just make sure settlement's done. Like all the T's are crossed, I's are dotted. House is in your name, you own it. Then transfer stuff into your name. Okay. It's not like as soon as you sign the paperwork, we're like, all right, turn the power off until he sets it. We don't do that. So there's a little bit of a grace period. We understand.
That's gonna be the other question too, and I don't know if we would get to it later, but like for getting the keys after, like. Yeah,
so literally I get the call from my settlement coordinator or administrator in the office. She'll just say, hey, Saracini I'm pronouncing that name right?
Saracini.
Saracini just closed, and she'll say you can release the keys. So what I do is I come over, I grab the keys out of here, and it's just these little 4 keys. So you'll get these keys, and then what we do is we reset the locks. Right now, everything's on a builder's key. So myself and my contractors can come in here and unlock the locks. So I physically reset the pins, and then as soon as I put your keys in there and turn it, it's now keyed to your 4 keys, and nobody else has these keys. Okay. All right. So
that day after,
literally as soon as she says you can release the keys, that's when I come over and change the locks.
Okay.
All right.
Because we'll probably head down right after that.
Yeah, that's fine. Yep. I'll be here all day Monday. So.
Okay.
So with that, I have a lot of customers too that get nervous. They're like, oh, like how do I know like you changed the keys or anything? Like I could even come over and show you like, listen, my builder's key doesn't work anymore, or they'll say
Yeah.
I want to change it to my own keys, which you can. They are they're quick set smart key. You can actually find a YouTube video on it too on how to do it yourself. If you, let's say you had like your previous home and you just want to use the same key, you can literally key the lock to your old key. So yeah, I have quick set locks in my home, and I did the same thing. I changed it to my old apartment key, and I've had that key for 12 years now.
Okay.
Okay, so these were manufacturer items. That's your contact list. Like I said, I'm going to get you an updated one on Monday for that. Now for the post-settlement team here. So out here, Eric Parker is the warranty supervisor for this community. He does this territory, that territory being Woolwich Township. So he does this community, he does Balsam Estates, and then he does Fields of Woolwich, or Preserve at Weatherby around the corner there, the 55 and over community. So once you settle, now you're in warranty's hands. So let's say you have an issue. It could be a cabinet needs to be adjusted, an interior door needs to be adjusted, or a faucet fixture is not working right. You scan this QR code and you'll put in a warranty ticket. You'll say your name, your address. I don't think they'll ask you for your physical lot number. That kind of it turns into it goes into like addresses once you settle. Everything before that and under construction is like lot numbers. So so it would be B3A039. So you just give them your name and address, and you submit that warranty ticket. It immediately goes through to the service center, and then it'll get sent to Eric. So Eric will see it. A lot of the times, if it's something minor, he'll just come right over. He'll reach out to you to see if you're available. And then he'll come over if it's something he can take care of himself. If it's something he needs to schedule a contractor for, he'll line that up between you and the contractor. A lot of the times he has a guy following him around too, kind of like a punch out guy that kind of is a catch-all and can do a lot of things. So these guys take pride in their ability to close out tickets and take care of customers. That's why we have this team here. They do a great job. So with that in mind, you have these three main Ryan warranties, and this is a breakdown of everything. So you have your 1 year warranty, which is basically your bumper to bumper. Everything you see and touch in the home is covered for 1 year, except for things like your physical screw and light bulbs, the 9-volt battery backups, and your smoke detectors, because you are supposed to change those biannually. And then your landscaping. Your landscaping doesn't have a warranty on it. Then you have your 2 year coverage. So that's basically everything behind the walls regarding HVAC, ductwork, plumbing lines, electric lines, all of that behind the walls that connects your fixtures. So like everything that's connecting a faucet fixture to the drain, like all of that is covered for 2 years. And then your 10-year warranty, which is your structural warranty. That's the big one that, gives a lot of customers their peace of mind. So think of foundation, roof trusses, like things that are the structure, the bones of the home are covered for 10 years. Okay. And then, like I said, it goes into more detail on those. And then there's also the My Ryan Homes website, all that you can get through scanning these QR codes and going on the website directly. Okay. And then there's also this this folder too, which kind of touches on a lot more little intricacies. Like there's some things, it's kind of a catch-all. So like you don't have a septic here, right?
Yeah.
You don't have a fire suppression system. It's not a townhome. But it goes into pretty good detail in terms of what to expect, care and maintenance tips, all of that. Okay.
Okay. I guess one question too for like, say anything we found or the inspector found in the home inspection, would those be warranty follow-up things? Or
no, that'll be through me.
So just send
anything
it
we
over
discussed today, I'm not going to hand that off to my warranty guys. So
Okay.
That's a good question.
Just hand that over to you. Okay.
Yeah, I'll take care of everything every now and then. So like especially with your settlement on Monday. So if that inspector sends you a report and it has something that needs to be addressed, just forward that to me, and then I'll be here working away on it, first thing Monday morning.
Okay.
Cool. And every now and then, so like I said, I told my trimmer to hold off until we're done this meeting. Then he's going to come over and take care of that that square base, the baseboard and shoe molding there. So I'm going to try to get that squared away for you, literally.
Okay.
So it would just be loud and noisy. I didn't want that during the meeting.
That's fine.
So, and then worst things worst comes to worst, I'll be buttoning it up like right before settlement too. So, all right. And then we'll do this new lawn care document after we walk the exterior of the home. There's also a good document in here about your asphalt driveway, since we do just have a base coat. It's not the final coat. So, okay.
Okay.
So we'll review this after we go outside, okay?
Okay.
And then typically what I do is I'll just kind of start in the main level of the home. We go upstairs, go downstairs, walk around outside, get our feet all dirty, and then come in, and then close out right back here again, okay?
Okay.
Does that work for you?
Makes sense.
All right,
Yep.
cool. So in here we have Timberlake cabinetry all throughout. So with these have from the manufacturer a I believe it's a 5-year warranty on all manufactured parts, as well as the craftsmanship and finish on them. So with these, they're a matte finish. They're not gloss.
Right.
They are oak frames. So keep in mind anything that you use on them in terms of cleaning. So anything non-abrasive. There's some like easy. They're called Simple Green rags. Pledge multi-surface cleaner. Just try to avoid anything that has like a sandy texture, like a Brillo pad. I've had customers take Brillo pads to their cabinets and ruin them. Additionally, avoid waxes and paste that builds up on them in terms of like coating the whole front of a door. Since they are oak, it is inevitable you'll get dings and dents over the course of living in a home. They are fully adjustable doors, or I should say hinges. So 3-way adjustments is just a Phillips head screwdriver on each one, okay? What you are adjusting is the levelness of the door, the reveal here of both doors, and then when you open and close the door, there's these little door bumps, top and bottom, that they're hitting at the same time, nothing too out of whack. I guarantee you over the coming years, you will need to adjust them eventually. It's just a matter of, if you use the kitchen frequently, you're opening and closing, eventually those hinges will need to be adjusted. But like I said, a simple Phillips head screwdriver will take care of that. Okay? You have a tile backsplash here. Wherever you have ceramics and grout, you can seal the grout. So sealing the grout is not something we do. It's not even something you have to do, but it's something we recommend in terms of care and maintenance. So sealing the grout, especially a lighter grout like what we have here, grout is porous, just like granite. It stains. So if you have darker liquids, grease, buildup, etc., over time it will start to stain your grout. So sealing your grout helps close those pores and makes it easier to clean and maintain. Okay? Everything within 6 feet of a water source here is GFCI protected, basically preventing water shock. So that's what all of your backsplash receptacles are. Additionally, you have your fridge nook over there, so I assume you guys are getting your own fridge. Correct?
Yeah, there we go.
So I will say it's nice. Your space is pretty large. It's not like a townhome where it's really tight, and you have the front door right here, so they'll bring that right in. I do recommend, though, most fridges are on wheels. Just tell those guys to be careful when they're dropping that fridge off. You can wheel the fridge front and back, but once they start shimmying it and trying to slide it, just tell them to be careful. Because you don't want to ruin your floors.
Right.
There is also on the left-hand side, a water line over there. So with this, it's just cold water, right? So there's a connection here. Most of the installers, is it going to be brand new, or are you transferring it from previous home?
Brand new.
All right, so they'll usually hook it up and test it themselves.
Okay.
You have a push-pull valve right here as well. It has a blue clip. Since there's nothing attached to it, I keep that clip on. All you do is open that up and pull the clip off, and then when it's time to turn the water on, they'll just press the head of this in. And that turns the water on. But in the meantime, I'm just going to put this clip back on just to make sure that it doesn't get suppressed.
Okay. Good to know.
These push-pull valves are everywhere in your home. So underneath the sink, you have a hot and cold. All your toilets have a cold. Your sinks all have hot and colds running to and upstairs, okay? Your pedestal sink as well. So those are all push-pull valves. Your dishwasher or your washing machine upstairs too.
Okay.
Any questions with that?
No, I don't think so.
Plug in there.
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward in terms of the fridge nook.
Right. Shelves are height adjustable, I guess?
Yep.
Right.
So these pegs, and actually you have there's a few extra in that one drawer as well.
That's good
so
to know.
you just lift this up, pull the peg out, and then you can change whatever height you want there.
Okay.
And just push this back down, and then you're good to go in that regard. I always say put your heaviest items down low. Same thing with your wire shelving. Anything extremely heavy, put down low as much as best you can. In here, so actually with all of your drawers. So with these are soft close. They have clips under here that allows you to release it. So I've now released it from the tracks. So if you ever needed to remove these, you can do that, and you literally just line it back up. You should line back up and then slide back in.
Okay.
And then it clips, and now it's attached. So it's a feel thing. If you were to stick your head under there, you would see the clips. You just push the clips in, and then you can pull this out and up.
Okay. Yeah, that's really good to know.
Same thing goes with these. These don't even have clips. They don't need to. They just pull up and out. Okay?
No. Okay.
These trays. Again, anything extremely heavy, I do recommend putting on the bottom of the base cabinet in terms of just protecting it and preventing that from bowing or anything over time. Okay? If you ever wanted to do a little bit extra protection, there are like liners that they make for cabinetry, things like that. I probably recommend that for like these guys if you're throwing like a lot of silverware or heavier implements that can scratch them.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
Quartz countertops. The beauty of quartz is you don't need to seal it like you need to do with granite.
Yeah.
So quartz is a lot more forgiving. It's still just as hard. If you are like me and you like nice cutlery, you need to use a cutting board because this will still dull your knives. So a fine edge is no match for quartz and granite. So butcher block or any kind of cutting board to protect your knives, but also to just a little added protection for your countertops makes a big difference. Obviously, I don't recommend standing on your countertops. They do still make a quartz sealer and cleaner. If you got one of those combo ones from like Home Depot, Lowe's, Target, Walmart, etc., there's also a QR code for it. That'll take care of your countertops. They're real easy to maintain. Okay?
Okay.
You do have, all right, so for your appliances, like I mentioned, GE appliances, they have a 1-year warranty through GE. It is extendable. Every appliance has a QR code. You scan that QR code, it eliminates the need for paper manuals everywhere. So with that, you scan that QR code. First thing I recommend is registering them in your name. So as soon as you settle, get them registered in your name. That way they can track the appliance to you. You get those warranties going. And then you have your protection. And I think you can extend them up to like 3 years for like $30 to $50. I think it's really worth it. The microwave is not vented out like your range hood is. So yes, this will, it's not like you're cooking anything under it, right?
Right.
But so this will just recirculate air.
Okay.
Your range hood is different. So this will actually kick out air. Low, medium, and high will all go out, up and out your home. And then you have your lights here, which have those two settings with replaceable bulbs. Okay. Gas range. Again, these all have your QR code. So under here, the QR code is right down there in that corner.
Okay.
This isn't a warming drawer. That's just a storage drawer. So keep that in mind. And then your gas stove and range. So you have the 5 burner with the 5th being this little griddle top. I believe GE makes a bunch of accessories for this. So you can get I think a whole large skillet top for it if you wanted to for like Sunday morning pancakes and eggs and what have you.
Okay.
So pretty nice range. It does have a broil setting as well. But other than that, pretty straightforward with regard to what a range is. Also up here too, you do have these grease filters. With these, you can rinse them with warm water to combat any buildup of grease. Okay.
Okay.
What else? Oh, also up here. So this is where your range hood goes up and out, right? So it's not the most beautiful thing, but it is at least hidden behind a cabinet. You can still store things in there.
Okay.
Just try to avoid anything heavy, really leaning on that. It's not flex pipe, but at the same time, it's pretty sturdy, but I just still try to say, hey, avoid really stacking stuff in there, anything that could potentially kink that or put a dent in it, things like that. That way you're not losing total functionality out of it.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
So you just can't have a shelf in there.
Yeah.
All right?
Okay.
Okay. We have to work our way out to this area.
Okay. Nothing notable about the dishwasher or anything?
Oh, yeah, dishwasher. Forgetting the dishwasher.
Okay.
Often overlooked. So, I mean, with this, and I believe your inspector,
he ran it,
still
yeah.
A little hot. 3 grates to it. You can put your little finer implements up here.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely on the steam section or setting. So pretty straightforward. This is all removable. Remember, so you do have a garbage disposal.
Mm-hmm.
So, and actually, I'll kind of piggyback into that. So, with dishwashers, garbage disposals, etc. So, what you want to do is scrape your plate into the trash, then rinse it, then put it in here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, there are filters for this. You can clog a dishwasher. It's difficult to do if you're following the order of operations that I just relayed to you.
Mm-hmm.
So, in terms of a dishwasher, though, it's pretty straightforward. All of your settings are up here on top of the door. So what is cool is you do have these little bottle jets. What's nice about those is you can put a wine glass directly over them or a bottle. And then you can opt to pressurize those jets. Yeah, you can pull that back out. So these guys here. Yeah, and the third.
That's nice, right?
Yeah, it's a nice dishwasher. But yeah, so these bottle jets, you could put a glass right over them. And instead of just relying on the spinner here, you can put water directly out of the jets.
That's cool.
Yeah. So basically, what you would do is you can delineate between just upper or lower zones. So what I would do is I like the steam and sanitization setting. Where basically, let's say you guys are entertaining and you're just going through a lot of glassware. You can put it on a steam and sanitization setting and run that. You can also delay it. Say you guys want to watch a movie and you want the dishes to come on or to clean after the movie's done, but before you go to bed. And then you can just delay it a few hours, and it'll start when you guys go to bed. And then you can turn on those bottle jets, and you can see it just adds time. And then you can do the dry boost, where it'll basically just really it heats up that element down below to really make sure everything dries well. And then you'll hit start, you close it, and it'll do its thing. Now, this is tied into the drain.
Right.
So you'll hear the drain go once this starts to drain water in it, and that's usually the first thing it does is it drains old water out before it starts. Now, stainless steel sink here. You do have a wand. It's got 2 settings here, and then this one. What is this one? Oh, this one. It's like a water boost. So.
Okay.
Can you kind of hear the difference in water pressure?
I hear
It's it is
gimmicky.
Yeah, but it is a water boost, so it's basically the equivalent of putting your thumb over the end of a hose. It restricts a little bit to create extra water pressure. Soap dispenser here, and then obviously just hot, cold in terms of the faucet fixture control itself. Down below, so we've got little just drain stop there. And then a bunch of penetrations, which I actually have to put that discussion over. But garbage disposal here. So that's your switch. With a garbage disposal, make sure you run cold water when you're running it. Basically what that does is keeps the motor cool, but also whatever it is you're grinding up in there, just keeps it a little bit more firm so it grinds up finer and drains out easier. Don't put grease down. It's so tempting, and I want to do it all the time at home, and just don't do it. Scrape out, let grease cool, harden up, and then scrape it out into the trash. And then you can rinse your pots and pans and not have to worry about this. Minor food scraps, like I said, scrape the bulk of what you have on dishware into the trash, and then soft items that come off of plates and dishware is all fine in here. Okay. With this, it plugs in right here. You can see the dishwasher plugs into that second receptacle here. And then these are just the hot and colds for your sink. This one here is going to, it's kind of hard to see, but that's going to your dishwasher. Okay. And then there's also another customer care sticker underneath. It's the same as what's in that folder. You can scan that for getting to the customer care center, the myryanhome.com website.
Here's a dumb question.
No such thing. Go ahead.
How does the soap dispenser fill?
So, this guy, he's got a bottle. It's kind of hard to see again.
Yeah.
So, it's under there, but you literally just grab that with your hand, and then you'll turn it counterclockwise, and then it'll pop down,
Oh,
and
gotcha.
then you fill it, and then you kind of have to eyeball it again, get a feel for it, and then you'll turn it clockwise to tighten that back up.
Okay.
Okay. Pretty straightforward though. I prefer dish soap in that. My wife prefers hand soap. I like dish soap on it.
Yeah, that's an interest. I guess we can decide.
I just can't stand things out on the countertop. I'm very particular, so it is nice having that though. Any questions in this area?
Anything for you, Ariel? No.
All right.
Yeah.
So we'll go on to the main area.
Okay.
So living room, dining area over here. Obviously, you guys have a slider. It's got this rail here. I need to keep that per code, or else I wouldn't pass building inspection without it. So that is a safety concern. Once you guys, or if you guys decide to put a deck, even if it's just stairs, then you would remove that rail and go ahead and move forward with your project. Remember to keep in mind any exterior improvements that you do to your home need HOA approval. If you do a deck, stairs, fencing, that'll need to be approved by the
Township.
Yeah.
Okay.
And HOA, obviously.
Right.
So with this, though, you have a lock here, and then you have a bug screen. Everything has, so everything, by everything I mean windows, all have bug screens. So they are to help prevent bugs from coming in. They are not a foolproof way of preventing from. There's some tiny bugs out there, like a little gnat or something. It can still make its way through the screen, but we're trying to prevent flies, bees, stink bugs, things like those from getting in your home. Obviously, it doesn't prevent like pollen from getting in your home either. So slider screen here, and then that does have your little lock there, and then this will slide through, and then you have that lock there. Okay. Some people are always still worried about sliders. You can get locks that are like a tension rod here, so there's like no way of moving it. Some people go that extra mile. I'm just saying that's an option. It's not something that we provide, but it's something you can get off of the internet or like a Home Depot, or you can put a broomstick there. That also works. All right. And then outside too, it's kind of hard to see, but you do have a light, this switch. You also have an exterior receptacle as well. So if you want to plug in anything outside, you can do that. Okay. Slider bumps too; those all come out. Floor register we talked about. So with those, I have tried everything, and I've even done a little bit of bending. They are designed to be pulled out. So getting them to sit perfectly flush, I've gone through and done my best with them.
That one looks good. That's improved.
Okay.
I can tell.
I've tried. I was like, I hope this is acceptable because I can't get it any better.
That one looks good.
All right. Flooring. So this is engineered hardwood. So with engineered hardwood, there's multiple layers to it. It's not straight oak like your stairs.
Right.
Now, even though it's engineered, it does still have that natural element to it. So cleaning and maintaining it is still pretty straightforward. Bona hardwood floor cleaners, Swiffer products, those are all fine. You want to avoid the bucket and mop. As little moisture as possible. One thing to keep in mind too, so humidity, that's factor. In the Jersey summers, or even all year round, depending on just how the year is, we do get some humidity. So if you are the type of person that prefers windows open, that's okay, but we do recommend dehumidifiers, things like that, monitoring the humidity in your home, to prevent any swelling or premature wear on your engineered hardwood product. Okay, things that go a long way. So area rugs, protecting it. It also helps dampen the sound, and so will window treatments because you do get some echo in here. The little felt feet for bar stools, tables, chairs, couches, sliding that around to protect the floor. That goes a long way in protecting the flooring as well. Okay. I'm trying to think anything else. I mean, obviously, when it comes time for moving in, if you want to roll out just that paper, the construction paper, or even little moving blankets, all that makes a pretty big difference with this flooring. Again, since it is like a more natural material, it does dent. So again, just do your best to just be careful when moving heavy objects in and around. Okay. I'm trying to think what else. Like I said, Bona hardwood floor products, Swiffer products, those are all pretty good. It does have the manufacturer's specs in there. So if you wanted to use the exact cleaner just to be safe, obviously, like I said, just avoid soaking the floor.
Right.
And test spot some areas. If you ever have a cleaner that's questionable, anything that has abrasives, like I wouldn't use anything with bleach, things like that, avoid. Okay.
Okay.
Lighting all throughout. So there's switches everywhere in your home. And additionally, you got some dimmers. So obviously the dimmers are in here. And then you also have a switch controlled outlet, which you can't see, which is flipped upside down below that window. So that's what this switch is. So if you plug in a lamp on that wall, you can control the light from this switch. And then you also have another light switch over here. So what do we got? All right, so living room. This is for the garage. This is for this foyer entryway here. This switch is your fireplace.
Right.
So with this, there's your pilot light. This will come on. This does have a removable grate here. So all behind there, you can see your gas shutoff valve. And there is another care and maintenance in the folder for showing you how to work. But the main thing is showing you that gas shutoff valve there. It does that condensation is normal. It'll burn off.
Right.
That's typical with the fireplaces. Slate surround. Trying to think anything. You could put decorative things on that. Obviously, avoid anything too heavy, but it is full slate sitting on 3/4 OSB subfloor, which is obviously sitting on your floor joist.
Right.
So, and then same thing up top. You can decorate that for Christmas or whatever holidays you guys celebrate, or just regular decor is all fine up there as long as it isn't egregiously heavy, right?
Yeah.
But that is your switch there, and we can let that run do its thing.
Okay.
And then this lighting over here as well. So that's the outside light. There you go. There's your dining room lights, and then this is your living room lights again. So just 3-way switches everywhere. That's why I just kind of walk in these houses and hit them all on my arm at one shot. And whatever turns on is what I'm trying to get turned on.
I don't know if you know, but like for the battery backup in that, do you know how long that would last in like the case of like a power outage or something?
In terms, no duration.
I've never
I'm not
tried.
sure. But that is the beauty of that, though. It does have the battery backup. So yeah, if you were to lose power, all you need to do is put your AA batteries in there, and that'll go. So if you just keep a stock of AA's, you're probably covered for a while. Same thing with your gas stove, right? All you need is a lighter.
Yeah.
If you lose power, that thing will still work. Obviously, the oven won't because it needs the computer to run it. But your gas stove will still run without power. Just need a lighter. All right.
Okay.
Over here, let's talk about your thermostat. So, and then after we cover this floor, we'll go upstairs and downstairs, and I'll show you the furnace itself. So, Ecobee thermostat. It is Wi-Fi enabled. Everything's red, and you have your little flame here, so that's telling you it's on heat, right? You touch that flame, then you can change your setting.
Okay.
I like to run mine on auto. It's usually the most efficient that way, especially when we're in the spring and weather can't make up its mind what it wants to do. You just tell it to keep within certain parameters, and it'll do that. And this is telling your humidity level there. With this, again, you can change all your settings here. You can also, where to go? There we go. Register it in your name. Everything else in terms of setup is done. Now, the thermostat itself is the sensor. So you can get additional sensors. Now, the way it's set up, it's not going to be able to send it exactly to every room and make it 100% in every room, but I'll show you downstairs the damper system. Additional sensors might help with that, but the damper system does work off of both thermostats, okay? And then there's your own comfort settings. You can set it on a schedule. The eco mode, I run mine off of eco mode, which is pretty nice, and I think it does actually make a difference. It's not just a sales pitch. I think the eco mode does make a big difference. Additionally, remember it's Wi-Fi enabled, so you can hook it up to your Wi-Fi network and then run it from your phones. And I believe it's compatible with like Amazon Alexa, Google Home. So if you ever wanted to get like one of those Google Homes here or an Alexa or whatever smart home system, I believe it is compatible with those. Most of them just have a list of thermostats that are compatible, and you can connect them.
So you said like the thermostats are the sensors, right? So those are the two.
Yeah.
Do they?
If one communicate downstairs to the dampers.
Okay.
So It would be like if you got sensors for like just that room, you're not going to be able to get it to send it to just that room.
Right.
That's where you come in. You are then the sensor. So you open and close your floor registers, your ceiling registers, and that's where you can force more air to go to.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Let's head into this area. You got a fire-rated metal access door, coat closet here. Pretty straightforward for a coat closet goes. You will notice on some of these door jambs you have ghost keys. These are all the same. So if you lose one, it's not a big deal as long as you have another one. They're all the same.
Okay.
And then you have powder room here. Every bathroom has an exhaust fan, toilet paper holder, towel bar. You have a window. I will say, so windows. When you move in, you don't have window treatments right away.
Yeah.
So they make really nice, cheap, temporary blinds that are just paper, and it makes a big difference, right? So I will say, like, people start coming to work here sometimes before the sun's up. And when you have a house with no window treatments, it's dark out and there's light on, you can see right through those windows. So I always tell my customers, because that's not something they think about immediately when they move in, but if you could just put up some paper blinds, that'll give you all the privacy you need until you get your permanent window treatments. Okay?
Okay.
And then over here, faucet fixtures, hot and cold. You have your drain pool there, your stopper. That's just an overflow there. Receptacle, and then again another air supply there. Light switch up top, or a light fixture up top. Okay.
These are all GFI too, I guess, near the...
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
It's GFI, but it goes to the breaker panel. So
Yeah.
I'll show you that.
Okay.
And then on the right hand side, so in here you have another switch controlled outlet, overhead light. That's the one spot I was looking for. I was like, I knew I was missing a spot, so I'll touch off on that with a paintbrush. Again, pretty straightforward. Hardwood floors, area rug will make it'll do a good job of protecting this flooring. Your switch controlled outlet there, floor register, and overhead LEDs. These have a 1-year warranty from Progress. They are Progress lights. It is a whole fixture. It's not a bulb. So you can literally grab it and pull it down. And then obviously they're dimmed, so you don't have to worry about installing dimmers. But if you have any issues with those within the first year, call it in the customer care center and we'll take care of you on those.
Okay.
But like I said, the screw and light bulbs are not covered by the warranty.
Right.
So that's the only difference. Those technically burn out. So.
Okay.
All right. But everything is LED. So the screw and light bulbs are all LED, and they last a long time.
Yeah.
And they're much more efficient. So.
Right.
Okay.
And with dimmers might help too if
That's true. Yeah.
if used, you know.
Yeah. I love the dimmers. I don't like harsh lighting. And I love warm lighting. So
Yeah, we add, well, I don't know how much of a nerd you are, but like 5,500 Kelvin lights, and it felt like, a dentist office in an apartment.
So I every now and then get customers who request that. And
Really?
I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
or like, who are you?
I pulled down 14 lighting fixtures and changed because it was that much of a thing. Yeah.
It's the worst. It's funny. I actually don't like overhead lighting at all. I just love lamps.
It's moody. It's nice. Yes.
I love lamps.
Yeah.
I just love accent lighting, and it's just soft lighting. I have really sensitive eyes, so I just don't like a lot of lighting. So, but I will say the dimmers and the lighting that you have in this home is really nice.
Yeah.
So, all right. Any questions in here? Again, pretty straightforward.
No, don't think so.
You got little door bumps, and then you also have not on every door, but you'll have some hinge bumps. If I find a door, I'll point it out to you and show you how those adjust. But these are just little springy guys. They also, so every now and then you'll hit one with a vacuum and it'll come off. They just twist off.
Okay.
So basically, it'll twist right back on. If you go clockwise, just righty tighty, lefty loosey, they pop on and off. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So in here you have your double glass doors. This is your lock here, so that opens and closes this. That's called the active door. This is your stationary panel once it's locked. Okay. It does have a little catch here. Again, little springy doors, base bump door stoppers, switch controlled outlet. and then your overhead LEDs in here. Okay.
Mhm.
So for your windows, I already talked about the window screens. Also, I am required to tell you that they are designed to keep or to prevent bugs from coming in, not pets and children from falling out of the house. Okay.
Okay.
So you got ply jam windows. Ply jam windows are nice because they are all vinyl, and these are basically like an energy efficient seal to the envelope of your home, right? So when you lift them up out of the sill, there's these two tabs here. You suppress these tabs, and the window comes down. So this is how you clean it. Now, these have a low E coating on them. It's kind of hard to see, but if you notice, it's got a blue sheen to the exterior, so that's your low E coating reflecting the sunlight. Then it's a double pane sealed with an argon gas. That's your insulation, okay? So you've got a lifetime warranty from the manufacturer on the frame of the window. 5-year warranty on all the mechanical parts. You've got a 20-year warranty on the seal of the double pane glass, and then I believe it's like a 1-year warranty on the glass itself, like that low E coating. I forget exactly what that one is, but that's also in the customer care pamphlet. So these windows have a lot of protection built into them, and like I said, they're very efficient windows with that. So. And then again, your locks, they have a lip on them. You can kind of see that lip for the track. It locks like this. So when you push these down, push in a little bit. That way it fully hooks into itself, and then you can lock it. Okay. Additionally, Windex, I forget what the other cleaner is that I use. All your traditional window cleaners all work well on this. So I wouldn't really worry about anything. Just obviously nothing too abrasive, like taking razor blades to it or anything.
Yeah.
Like that, okay. I'm trying to think anything. There you go. She's got it.
There you go.
Oh, actually, if you keep that out, you can see the sticker on the side here. If you ever need to call Ply Gem, all of your window information is right on the side there.
That's good to know. Okay.
The biggest one actually being your call size. That is the size of your window. This is the 3050, 3 foot by 5 foot there. And then serial numbers, etc.
Okay. I don't think. Oh, only the bottom pane, right? I guess that.
Yeah, so that's called single
hung.
Yeah, so it's a single hung window. Honestly, though, so that's actually what makes them more efficient. So when you have a double hung window, people don't realize it, but that top panel will start to sag if you have it unlocked, and then you have a gap up top and you don't realize it, and then your house is drafty. So the more moving parts that you have, the less efficient, or the more difficult it is to make an efficient seal. So, all right. We also have over here coat closet here in the entry. There's a little doorbell transformer up there. It looks like it'll shock you. It won't. It's all low voltage.
Okay.
It's literally just the power transformer for the doorbell. And then the doorbell obviously is located, or the box is right there.
Okay.
Above. And then here you have a return. So this is a return larger on the wall. This goes down to the furnace. This is sucking air in. The little guys are all your supplies. All right. Yeah. Any questions?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
Want to go upstairs?
Yeah.
Let's see which light operates what. All right. So foyer lights, loft lights. This is your exterior light there. Okay. Okay. So the loft area, plenty of receptacles all throughout. This is probably my favorite part of the house. I love the lofts. So you have your 2 windows here. That is a functional window. It's just hard to get to.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful if you're ever leaning over to do anything with that window. All right. Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
There's really not too much to go over. Although one thing I will go over, we have a 1-year carpet stretch service. Right now the carpet's nice and new and tight and stretched out. Over the course of a year, it's a one-time use, so keep that in mind. If you ever have any areas that are bunching up or loosening, call that in and they'll come in and re-kick the carpet. Carpet is held in with tack strips. So they do a border of tack around, and then they stretch that carpet out and it hooks into the strips, and that's what holds it tight. So if you ever, it's mainly a high traffic area. So honestly, like the stairwell to the basement or the hallway, that's usually where the culprits are. But I will say that's actually one of our lesser used services.
Okay. Yeah.
And then with this, just like your hardwood floor, we recommend the Shaw carpet cleaner. It is Shaw carpet, but if you're ever using a cleaner, test it in an inconspicuous area. Honestly, if I ever spill something, the first thing I do is try to soak it up, and then I'll also use just like a white, warm, wet rag and try to get it out that way first. And then I usually go to like a quick vacuum or shampooer and make some really nice little small compact ones that do a good job.
Okay.
And then we have an air supply there, so for that just ceiling register, and then your LEDs.
Cool.
All right, odor suite here. So here's your secondary thermostat. Dimmers in the tray ceiling. You have air supplies. You also have your own returns. So that's really nice for the owner's suite. Oh, they are getting sheathing installed over there. I was wondering where those guys were. Four windows in here. This is an awesome room too. Honestly, I have fallen in love with the St. Lawrence. It's a great product.
Yeah, it's a nice one.
You guys made a good choice with that. So plenty of natural light in here, which is just really nice. Honestly, without lights in here, it's really nice and bright. The City Loft too does a good job of it's still a contrast between the bright white on your trim. I get a lot of people who don't even paint their walls.
I was just saying,
I painted my whole basement City Loft. So it's just a really nice color. With that, we do a 1-year drywall service. So the drywall service includes things like nail pops, settlement cracks, all to be expected, especially within that 1 year. It's like your carpet stretch service. It's a 1 year or it's a one-time use.
Okay.
So keep in mind with that, if you ever see a nail pop or settlement crack, let them accumulate within the year. Don't waste your service on one nail pop. We have a guy who does our 1 year drywall service. He does a great job. If you do put custom colors up, we won't put up your custom colors. So just make sure if you ever do custom paint, save any leftover. We'll still repair and prep it. You just need to paint the walls.
Okay.
Or paint the repair, I should say. But like I said, nail pop settlement cracks are all normal. Your house isn't falling down. It's literally the lumber of your home expanding and contracting. It's typical, especially with the seasons. So usually what I tell customers is let the home go through 4 full seasons, set a reminder in your calendar for 11 months from now, and that's where you'll call that 1 year drywall service in. Okay. And then again, like I said, anywhere you have your carpet, that's just keep in mind your 1 year carpet stretch service as well. Okay. Closet here. Censored lights, which are nice, because I always forget to turn my closet lights off. Yeah. Wire shelving throughout. So with wire shelving, it's very durable, low maintenance. I still say anything really heavy, just put on the floor. But you can still load this up with clothes and shoes. I had a customer who would store his bowling balls on one. And I was like, all right, take it easy on the bowling balls. Let's put the bowling balls on the floor. But wire shelving is pretty no fuss kind of shelving. And also, if you ever wanted to upgrade and do like California closets or built-ins, you can just as easily remove them. They're just installed with screws and rivets. Okay.
One tiny.
Oh yeah, I can hit that too.
Yeah.
Actually, I saw a picture of that and I couldn't find it. So
okay.
We needed to find it. So this is a hinge bump that I was mentioning. So if you see this tail end here, when I go counterclockwise, it gets shorter, right? That allows the door to swing wider open, so that's when it would hit this shelf. So what we're doing is we're limiting the range of motion of the door by extending this, and now it should stop it right around there. It's not a dead stop, it still goes a little bit, but that's where it starts to stop the door from hitting that shelf. And then you can adjust it to whatever range you prefer. But that's just how you operate those hinge bumps.
That's good. All the interior doors have?
No, some have base bumps, the little springy
right. Okay.
It all depends. So right here, it wouldn't reach the base bump, so we have to put a hinge bump to keep it from hitting the shelf.
Okay.
Almost feels like a crime walking across the perfect carpet.
I know, right?
All right, so also a very nice part of the room, or of the house, I should say. So you have your large double vanity here, all Timberlake cabinetry again. Same warranties as what you have down below. Double mirrors, double 4-light light fixtures with your LED screw-in bulbs. Really nice setup in here. Again, you have your push-pull valves. So hot is always on the left, Cold is always on the right, and actually I can show you now too. So with these push-pull valves, it's a little bit easier to show you. So I'll turn on your hot water there. So you just take your 2 fingers and you pull it up. So now there's no hot water running to it. So like it's on, it's turned off. So this is how, if maintenance ever needed to be performed, or you wanted to just swap these out, you can do that. And then you just push it back on, and now you have hot water again.
Okay.
Right? And same thing goes for the cold side.
Yeah, that's good to know.
All right.
Okay.
Again, these are the More Quartz countertops, so the care maintenance is the same as downstairs. Over here, so unfortunately with the glass shower door, this does require a little bit more maintenance. So water spots are inevitable. I recommend a squeegee. It'll make caring and maintaining for this much easier and streamlined. You just get a suction cup squeegee, you'll be good to go. If you want to put Rain-X on it, that's also a great option. Rain-X does need to be reapplied, just like granite countertops sealing your granite. That's the same thing.
What about any of the generic shower cleaner stuff?
Yeah, most of that's fine.
Okay.
Again, anywhere you have tile flooring, tile surrounds, you can seal your grout. It's not something you have to do, but it's just, again, ease of caring and maintaining for it. It just makes it easier. Fiberglass tub or shower pan, you have those little gaps. Those are weep holes. Make sure you don't fill those, like with grout caulk or silicone. We recommend using grout caulk. It's called sandable grout caulk. It's basically got silica in it that allows it to keep water out. Doing that in your corners and the tops of the drain, or of the the pan itself. Yeah, losing words. It's been a long week. So we've already done it once. It's just a regular homeowner maintenance item. Okay.
I've seen so many of those pans where they're filling the weep holes.
Yeah, it's not good. That's where the moisture, if there's ever any moisture present behind the tile, it goes out there and into the pan. Okay. And again, just like I said, a squeegee is your best little enemy or weapon to fight water spots. Okay. And then you have shower head there. Obviously, if you ever wanted to swap that out to something that you prefer, you're able to do that. Okay. I will say there's usually higher flow shower heads.
Do you know what the flow on that one is? Like 1.75, 1.5?
I'm honestly not 100% sure. A lot of the stuff that we have is a high efficiency, so it has restrictors in it.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you ever wanted to put something that had a wand or something, or
a lot of
people really like the rain shower head.
Yeah,
you could put that on there. But that's what we have for this.
Okay. I'll give it a try. Yeah.
And then there you go. Light fixture, exhaust fan, or overhead light exhaust fan, toilet paper holder, and then you have a shut off right next to each toilet as well. Okay. Linen closet here, and then see here is where you have because these guys would hit each other. And then linen closet, wire shelving. Pretty straightforward for wire shelving. This actually, so if you see, you can actually just lift it up. So it's held in by these J hooks in the back, but then it just has these little cradles that it sits in the front. So if you ever wanted to remove one or pull them out and wipe them down or something, you can do that. They just sit in like that. Okay. One thing I forgot to mention, smoke detector. Unfortunately, it does have to be in the tray because it's the highest point of the ceiling. But smoke detector in every bedroom. They're hardwired in series. If one goes off, they all go off. They do have those 9-volt battery backups. You have a smoke detector carbon monoxide detector, or smoke/carbon monoxide combo there. I'm sorry, misspoke there. Again, wired in series, 9-volt battery backup. And then laundry closet here. So you have your overhead cabinetry matching exactly what you have downstairs. You have your 220 receptacle there for your dryer, and then you have your water lines here, and then the drain in the center between them, and then just a 110 outlet for your washing machine itself. This right here, so with this, you have, it's the vent for your dryer, okay? So this is just the lower portion of it. It's all interconnected, okay? So Either one. Usually I say hook it up top here, and then you can close it off if you want down low, or vice versa. It's just allowing you to collect it as a trap. The installers, are you getting new appliances?
Yeah,
so they'll install it all themselves. And it just literally goes right over, and then they put a metal band tie that goes over that, and now connect it in that regard. Obviously, just making sure you at least check that once a year, and then with every load, you do your lint trap on the dryer itself. Okay.
Do you know for like certain plans that they had like the recessed dryer vent panel, or is that like an extra?
So that's like is more specific to the vendor themselves.
Okay.
So I personally like the aesthetic of the recess. It just doesn't have a clean out. So that's why. So with this, it's nice. You can keep the dryer connected still and still clean it out. The other one, there's no option to do that.
That's good, yeah.
So yeah, I agree. I like it a little bit more with that, with the recess. But at the same time, with the dryer there, you won't see it anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah.
So I'm trying to think. I think that's pretty much it in here. Overhead vent, and then you also have your wire shelf there.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
Some WT-40 on the page. A little bit of squeak there. And then again, linen closet here. Pretty straightforward for linen closet. Okay. So these are like twin bedrooms here, except one has they just have different closet doors. So double window in here, attic access. So keep in mind the attic access, again, there's not a pull down ladder or anything. It just has the weather stripping there. It's designed to be just pushed up. And then you still need, like the home inspector, he needed a ladder to get up in there. You might see, and there's sometimes like a little bit of insulation that you can see a little bit of blown in insulation come down. But that's pretty much it for the attic access. There is that light switch behind that controls the light bulb that's up in the truss up overhead, so somebody can see what they're doing. But you have overhead LEDs in here, dimmers. Again, and every bedroom has a switch controlled outlet. Little walk-in closet here. Oh, it's got a timer on it. I forgot. Yeah. There you go.
Okay.
And then again, very similar. Scrape this plate off there. Overhead LEDs. Pretty much the same. You just have double doors here. This isn't a walk-in closet, so it doesn't have an LED inside.
Right.
It just has ball catches up top. So just remember that these aren't functional; they're just pulleys.
Yeah.
And then you have the ball catches. Okay. You can actually adjust the ball catch if you ever need to adjust the door. Let's just say over time it's not catching as much. If you just press it down and as you apply pressure with your finger and spin it counterclockwise, that backs it out a little bit and allows it to apply just a little bit more pressure.
Okay.
Okay.
That's good to know.
And if you ever wanted to, you can look at it and you can just get like a little step stool and look up, and then you can physically see it in front of you. Okay. While we have an aerial view of your backyard. So this is pretty much following the general outline of your home or of your property, I should say. Everything's straw intact right now, as you can see. It's so beautiful, isn't it? In the coming weeks, I'm hoping like 2 to 3 weeks. I'm hoping in the next like 2 weeks. But don't hold me to that exactly. It all depends on the weather. I'm gonna come back in here, rake the whole lot, and then we'll reapply this. But then it'll have fertilizer and grass seed, and then in the front we'll sod the sides in front we'll sod everything.
Okay.
I do need to keep the silt fence. The soils inspectors pretty strict out here, so they like us to keep the silt fence at least until both homes on each side are stabilized. They call it. This is called winter or temporary stabilization. Once it's sodded, that's final stabilization. So when I at least have both homes on each end temporary stabilized, then I can pull the side silt fence out.
Okay.
Usually they want us to keep the rear for a little bit until they start seeing germination. And then you can see that swale back there. I believe that's an easement. I'd have to refer to your plot plan to double check. But I do believe that's a drainage easement back there.
Okay.
And then you have your neighbors for the different community. It looks like they're doing a deck and covered porch. That looks really nice.
Yeah, that's a good setup.
We're
we're gonna we'll do something back, but we're gonna wait, like you said, until everything's built out on either side of us before we.
That's
yeah.
smart. I like when everybody's doing it, and it's cool because you can kind of see everybody does everything a little different. You have like a bigger patio there, a large uncovered deck, and then you have the covered deck, and then you have like a lanai type covered deck with the screened in. That's nice too. It's cool seeing what everybody does. All right, so we have your hall bath here. Fans working. I'll turn it off though. Tile surrounds. You have a tile shelf there for whatever you choose to use on that storage shelf. Toilet, fiberglass tub itself, and then again sandable grout caulk around the perimeters and corners. Just keep that in mind. And then you have your metal Schluter strip going around all the tile edges itself. Pretty straightforward. Again, even though this is tile, remember your baseboard and trim all down low is wood. So it's best to put maybe like an absorbent mat to step out onto in any wet areas. Tile is great at being moisture resistant. But I never say anything is 100% waterproof because, like I said, water would travel across the tile to your wooden trim. So just make sure to watch those areas of excessive water. Okay. And then again, the double vanities here are the same. Timberlake cabinets, all your shutoffs underneath are the same as well. Okay. And then this one has a receptacle on this wall, but also in the center there. Okay. Cool. Any questions?
No.
All right, All right. Front bedroom here again. LED lights, air supply, switch controlled outlet over there in that corner. Walk-in closet with your timer. So, and then I saw again your text about this dirt up here. So I'm gonna sweep off the bulk of what I can. I don't want to pressure wash your roof because you gotta be really careful when you do that. So let's see what rainfall does over time, especially because right now it's just so dusty out here.
Right.
Like I've actually washed the front porch twice, and like the columns, and just with the dust, and then it rains, and then it gets dusty again, and then it just looks dirty again. So I do my best with these exteriors, but especially when it's just like an active construction site, I will say the dust, it takes a little bit for the dust to wash away. But like this excessive dirt here, I'll come up here and sweep this off. Like that is from actually when they finished the gables, the trim on the gables. They came up here, and this mud out here has just been awful, and asking guys to take off their shoes everywhere is really hard. It's really hard. Like they go up the ladder, then they would have to take their shoes off. It's like it's a whole ordeal. It's like it's an uphill battle in that regard. So we do our best. Same thing too. So you probably noticed like muddy on the apron and like your driveway. So like I will say after one rainfall and you pull onto it with your car, it's gonna just recreate it again. So if I have anything really like egregious after I do your final stabilization and do sod, then I'll have my guys follow up and wash it off for you. Okay,
that'd be good. I guess regarding the asphalt too, do you know where they're going to lay the final?
It comes up about 2 to 3 inches. Okay. So yeah, it comes up a good bit.
Do you know when they were gonna?
Oh, so that it's about. I have to double check, but usually I forget what the official time frame is on that paper down there, but usually it's like 4 months. Okay. So the reason is, we noticed in the past when we did it too close to settlement, we would get settlement. Settlement in your settlement, and then we would get settlement in the driveway itself. So we try to avoid that. So we let any kind of settlement underneath, heavy cars coming on and off, parking, like if you ever start to get any kind of ruts, we let it go as long as possible, and then we come back and then we do a bunch. We do a minimum of 4 at a time. Okay. So you and that neighbor will probably be done at the same time, and then probably the guys in the middle over there on that middle Wexford Drive will probably have their top coats done at the same time.
So sometime in the summer, you're thinking like?
Yeah, in the summer is when we'll come back for it. And honestly, that's a really good time to do it anyway. Just those temperatures make it so much easier to get perfect. I'm pretty sure I haven't really fooled around. Let me double check. Yeah, sometimes like these guys. Oh yeah, there you go. You can kind of. It's just more manual. It's not left to right action. Okay. Like the toggle does. So yeah, you can kind of manually control them. You just have to do one by one there.
Okay.
Okay. a little step ladder. Like I carry around a 2-foot step ladder. It makes all the difference in these houses. Okay. All right. Any questions up here before we go down in the basement?
Anything else you can think of?
I will say, once you guys get comfortable in the home and you're walking around in socks, be careful on these steps. I've had people pledge their steps and it turns it into an ice rink, so just be careful with that. Hospital socks are great because they have those little nubbies on the bottom, but just be careful going down your steps in socks because they get slippery, okay? But again, Bona hardwood floor cleaner, all of that is pretty typical for what we clean. This is actually 100% solid oak treads and landing, so a little different than your manufacturer or your engineered hardwood.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, it does smell fresh.
Yeah.
Over there.
It's well, and I also had the carpet shampooed too.
Oh, okay.
That's probably also what you're smelling.
Okay.
So there was a little area where I think my inspector walked through and he tracked some dirt. So I just said, guys, just hit all the carpets. So you're probably smelling the shampoo.
Yeah.
So in here we've got a couple of shutoffs. Hose bib. This is your main water shutoff, and this is your water meter here. So that it does technically have two main shutoffs that bridge the gap here. This is just a sewer clean out. So if you ever have a clog and a plumber is like, hey, do you have a sewer clean out? This is what he's talking about. There's also one outside that I'll show you.
Okay.
This is for your irrigation line. So it's a 1-inch line going to supply your irrigation. When we come to install your irrigation, which is when we sod the house, I am going to need access to your home. Okay. So I'll line that up with you because the guys will just need to turn this on so they can juice everything up.
Okay.
All right. This is just a wire that runs through your walls there. This is the main drain stack that's running all throughout your basement here. Okay. With your hose bibs, so it does have a little instructions here. Just keep in mind with this, we recommend winterizing your hose bibs. So literally all you do is you just turn it off and then you go outside, open it up, residual water drains out, and you just keep it open for the winter. That way there's nothing that, or anything that were to build up in the pipe can drain. Okay. And then in the spring, you just come in here, turn it back on, you're good to go. Okay. And then, like I said, Aqua will meter all this electronically through here. So they don't need to come into your home to get your meter reading.
Do you know for the irrigation system, like how many different like sprinkler heads or what they're planning out for?
I forget how many heads it is. It's technically, I think, like 1 or 2 zones, and then they do loop it behind the home. So if in the future you wanted to have them come back and install a second zone on your behalf, they could do that.
Okay.
Okay. I just don't know how many heads they do exactly. Every home's a little bit different. So, okay. Usually they do some in the curb strip, and then usually like 2 or 3 in the main portion of the lawn. I just haven't seen any kind of like proposals that they have for out here yet. So yours is the first home to settle. So
okay,
and they haven't done the irrigation yet. So
I just think it's nice that they even do it. Like the fact that it's not
right. Like the sod is a pain. If you don't have built-in irrigation, the sod is a pain in the butt to keep alive, especially in the summertime. So drop ceiling here. Remember, we have some steel beams that run through here. If you have an air supply, your damper motor is in here. So there's a little actuator that's behind there. If an HVAC contractor, whether it's ours or you hire somebody else in the future, and they're asking about dampers, tell them there's a damper actuator behind this grill. Okay, so that it's not an HVAC supply or return. That's a return. This is just I just put it there so it's not buried behind the wall. Okay, and then again dimmer switch, and then switch for over there. Okay, so, whoops, all right, I'm trying to figure out all the lights here. Okay, exhaust fan, full bath, but you just have smaller vanity. LED, no light fixture in these basement bathrooms, but toilet, walk-in shower. This one just has your black frame, but again, I still recommend a squeegee. And then the same for care and maintenance down here with regard to corners and top of the pan. Okay.
Okay.
Cool. So, this is considered the home office, right?
It could be, well,
I'm trying to remember the official name of this room.
or basement bedroom or something like that. The
Is
addition.
this-
Because I think the other plans, like the Corsica, it's a home office.
Yes,
But here they.
I can't keep
Right.
them all straight. So,
Yeah.
Okay, so we have your window well. I had it clean.
I'd say it looks nice and clean,
Okay.
right?
I was like, I hope this is okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
So again, this is here for a means of egress through your egress window.
Mm-hmm.
It does have a drain there that's tied into your drain tile throughout
Mm-hmm.
the footings of the home, and you have your little ladder for getting out of the well itself. And you have the grate there. All that is just placed on so you can physically pull that off if you wanted to. There's no screws or bolts holding that on because obviously in an emergency you need to be able to push that up.
Oops. Okay.
And then just little foundation windows there.
Mm-hmm.
Primarily we put those in there just to add ventilation during the whole process of construction.
Mm-hmm.
Just for some cross breeze in these basements. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have a closet over there, also LEDs down here with another dimmer, so it goes on and off. And then, feel free to open up that closet there. Wire shelving.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. So, in here. Utility area.
Mm-hmm.
I always try to leave a little bit extra.
That was nice to see. Yeah.
Yeah, any extra materials or floorboards, just in case. So you have some wall tile, floor tile, backsplash, grout, engineered hardwood.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this is an ejector pit. Those are sump crocks. Okay. So you have two sump crocks, one for your interior drain tile and one for your exterior drain tile.
Mm-hmm.
This ejector pit is just for your bathroom there. So, right, we have what's called a hung sewer. So that sewer access that I showed you over there, you can't flush a toilet up, right? It's got to go down. So it flushes down into here, and then this will pump it up, okay? So it does have a little backflow alarm. We do recommend primarily for your sump crocks a battery backup. That would be something that you would have installed or provided. But when you lose power, which is typically right during a storm, heavy rainfall, things like that, those keep water drained around your foundation and slab. So obviously if you lose power, they're not functioning. So a battery backup is a good means of security with those. So just keep in mind that's something you want to maybe think about for the future. Okay?
Which is the interior and the exterior?
That's a good question. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure. I would have to ask the guys. I don't think they have it physically labeled, but they are like tied in together. So ultimately, if one were to fail, the other one can also still pick it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, in terms of like a battery backup too, is one like interior more important than the?
Yeah. Honestly, they're pretty much the same. Like I said, they're kind of linked together.
Okay.
Yeah, so all right.
Okay.
Tankless water heater here. You have a manual up top and then just some energy guide stuff, new appliance type things. You have a gas shutoff here. This is a gas powered unit. Okay. So with this, you have little shutoffs. Not really something that you need to be worried about, but obviously cold, hot. And then you have your little hose bib up here that's tied into the water line that's going in. Now, just remember with a tankless water heater, it doesn't mean instant hot water. But once you have your hot water, typically you're not going to run out of it. Okay? You can have a shower running, dishwasher, laundry going. This will usually keep up with the demand. It does make a little bit of noise when it's running, but it's not being used right now. It stays dormant. Okay? This is a serviceable unit. The manufacturer recommends having it serviced. I believe it's every 1.5 to 2 years. And typically what that service entails is having a plumber come, and they'll come and run a solution through it that helps with descaling.
That's what I was wondering about. Okay.
That's that any hard water deposits, mineral buildup inside the pipes. It's basically a computer with pipes running through it.
Yeah.
And a heating element. So you want to make sure that you're descaling that every 2 years or so. Okay.
I had a Navian unit in one of my old apartments that clearly hadn't been descaled in a very long time.
And it wasn't functioning.
Yeah.
It'll do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions with this? And there's a whole QR code for this too. Everything that I'm talking about, don't worry about. And obviously you're recording, but don't worry about trying to memorize it all because the QR code in the My Ryan Home website can go into much more detail than I can.
Right. Okay. Yeah. No, I think that's good there.
All right. So to the furnace. So ERV system, which you can hear it running, not very loud.
Yeah. Mhm.
So this is literally just fresh air exchange. So with that, these houses are sealed very tight. If we didn't have this and you weren't coming and going, opening, closing windows and doors, allowing fresh air to come in, you would have pretty stale and stagnant air in your home. So this kind of helps combat that. So I don't want to turn it all right here. I'll unplug it. So with this, it has these little toggles down here, or catch latches. You open this up, and then it's got
Interesting.
It's got a little foam filter here, and then a honeycomb. Most of this, you literally just rinse with water. Okay. That's the extent of it. And then you can also just purchase replaceable filters. So like this, like I can probably go upstairs and rinse this.
Just run it. Okay.
Yeah, just run it underwater. It doesn't have anything crazy in terms of fabric or like a media. Okay. And then it just all runs over a honeycomb, which is, you can take this out, but if you keep up with this, you don't have to physically worry about the honeycomb too much.
Okay, so just those two.
Yeah, those two filters
Okay.
here. Okay. And then you just close it. Whoops.
Is there any other maintenance to do with this, or anything like, changing out an air filter or something like that with that?
Not really. Go figure now that I have it off. It's really not too bad. There we go. And then it will just kick on and do its thing. But yeah, and I'll be honest, hey, you really don't need to have this run. It'll do its own thing. It just stays on the max setting, and it'll just run through cycles. But with that, if you guys are opening and closing windows and doors and coming and going a lot, that is plenty of air exchange.
Okay.
This is like if you go on a long vacation and no one's going to be at the house, or you're in like COVID when we weren't leaving our houses, like that's when this thing would really shine.
Okay.
But if you're just living your life normally, opening and closing windows and doors, coming and going, that is plenty of air exchange.
Okay.
So this is what that would make up for. Okay.
So would you say in that scenario, if we're opening windows, doors regularly, like it's not going to run, it's gonna, or we would just unplug?
You could just unplug it or turn it off. There's a power button here, and you can just turn it off and let it do its thing.
Okay.
It'll just stay sleeping.
Okay.
Okay.
That's something to think about. Okay.
Now over here, so we have your furnace. That's the little control panel for your dampers, and then you can see two damper motors here as well. One of these is what's underneath that drywall on the other side in the finished area behind that panel.
Okay.
So these are what are controlling the dampers based off of what the thermostats are telling them. Okay. So carrier system, you have a 10-year warranty on here. First 5 years are parts and labor. The second 5 years are just parts. You then pay for the labor to replace said warranty part. Okay. You have your furnace filter in here. It's literally just a little magnetic strip. And then you pull this out. It is if I can get it out, there you go. 14, usually 14 by 25 by 1. If I can find the size on it.
It's gotta be.
Oh, geez, right there. All right,
Okay.
16 by 25 by 1.
Okay.
The most important thing with this, so we recommend changing it out every 30 days for the first 3 to 4 months. And then you'll kind of have an idea of the frequency that you really need to change it. We recommend cheap filters more frequently. Instead of those HEPA rated, those really thick filters. Those actually just act like a clogged filter. So the cheaper filters, and just changing them more frequently. That way they're not too restrictive, because if you actually put something too restrictive in here, especially running the air conditioning in the summer, this can freeze up because it's just too much restriction. So they have an arrow on them. Make sure that arrow is always pointing towards the furnace itself, okay? And then you just slide it back in, and then you have your little magnetic cover there, and you're good to go.
Just the one filter?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
And then this is all your return trunk line, and then you have your supply that goes up and out, okay?
Okay.
And then low voltage, so anywhere you have the dual ports in the home, you have your coax and Ethernet running. You probably honestly know more about this than I do. So you're more of a tech guy.
Yeah.
So your coax and Ethernet, underneath here too, you do have a 110 outlet. So if you did want to plug in something in here, whether that be your router, or if you had another device, maybe something with like a security, etc., you could plug that in here.
Okay. Yeah, we have the Xfinity guy come. Well, they're going to come out in I think a week or so.
Okay.
And yeah.
So are you guys not moving in right away?
We're doing so we have to be out of our place May 9th. So over the course of a few weeks, we're going to be ordering stuff and kind of in stages.
That's the way to do it. I always feel for customers that like settle and have to move in immediately.
It's so much.
That's stressful.
It's so much. Yeah.
So yeah, you guys are that's the ideal way. I also left your thermostat boxes here.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
That way, if you ever wanted to keep those, some extra carpet too. I keep this because this is worth its weight in gold on move-in day. Just put it in the foyer. Also, too, if you flip it upside down with the carpet side down, you could put heavy stuff on it and slide it around.
Yeah.
And it protects the floor.
I'm also a musician and was wondering, there's going to be some stuff,
Nice,
like
cool.
drums and stuff down.
Awesome.
So, if I want an extra layer or something,
there you go.
Drum rug,
And then I also, the guys, I had them fix some of this.
Oh, yeah.
I just had them leave a little extra just because.
Okay.
Why not?
Yeah.
So, all right.
Much appreciated.
Any questions down here? This is all just insulation.
Yeah.
You have an air supply down there. These are water lines. This is the line set from your ACs, so that's the refrigerant traveling to your condensers there. I can't think of anything else.
Yeah, I don't think so. No, I think pretty.
ERV lines running through.
Yeah, pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Okay, let's go outside.
All right. Yeah, let me put on.
This one control basement and then.
So basement and this floor. Upstairs is the whole second floor. Okay, so out here, 3-car garage. Your LiftMaster garage door openers. Remember, these are Wi-Fi enabled. They have the little tags here, and then you have the manual openers.
Okay.
You guys have you have the newer car, so a lot of times cars can connect to the motors. Obviously, I can't guarantee that yours will, but a lot of the newer cars.
Yeah. Some of them have home. Mine, for whatever reason, doesn't. But I've had the cheap. But the fact that they have the little opener.
You have this, and then you have the ability to control it from your phone as well. So, I believe you said you work from home, right?
Yeah.
So, but if you ever were away and you wanted to let somebody in, you could from your phone.
Yeah, it's helpful.
Additionally, too, there is a light bulb up here. So actually, on here, these open and close the door itself, and then this is the light on the motor. Okay?
Gotcha. Okay.
And these are just your the bulbs overhead, and I believe this one is the exterior light outside. And they plug in up over top. One thing on here, so. If, let's say, you were to lose power, you guys don't have a generator, and you still want to open and close the garage. Right now, it's open, right? You just pull this cord, that releases it from the track, and then you can just pull it, okay? Then it's all tension and ground on this spring overhead. So just be careful when you lower it, because sometimes it can gain momentum.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's all on this tension spring here. So that allows you to manually open and close it, and then you can lock it here. So now it's locked. So that's just a little bit added security, right? Because typically the motor acts as the lock, but when you lose power and you need to kind of put it in manual mode, then you can physically lock it there.
Okay.
And then you just remember before you have power again,
Right.
and then you can actually hit the button, and that thing will travel down, and it'll just automatically latch into it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So easy.
And
Okay.
same thing with opening it, just kind of guide it because it can kind of gain momentum and go up. And usually, there you go.
Gotcha.
Now it's
Okay.
locked.
Okay.
And then the
Pretty
same thing
straightforward.
goes for the smaller one over here, for the third car. So same functionality. You still have the little manual fobs as well. And then your little laser levels also.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So just remember, if something's in the way, it will close. If you were to forget and you put your little, what's it called, your car parked halfway, the lasers can still shoot under the car so they don't think anything's there. But if it's closed on it, it will sense the car and it'll pop back up.
Okay.
Okay? Oh, any questions with that?
Were you curious at what the blue tape was for?
Oh, it had a bolt on it. So
okay.
they put bolts on it to prevent people from locking on it. So the tape is a reminder to pull the bolt out.
Okay.
Yeah. Trying to think of anything else. Obviously, just standard garage drywall finish in here, taping the seams, and then they skin where we put the screws in each stud. But I will say, so that's nice. You can physically see where every stud is. So if you ever wanted to do a rack system, shelving, etc., you can. You can see exactly where the stud is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something you might think about. Yeah.
Now, over here is your electric panel. So you have a 200 amp service. Some final inspection stickers here. When you were asking about the GFCI protection here, so everything, if it trips, it's going to go right down to the breaker here. This is probably the neatest electrician I've ever seen.
That's pretty good.
It does not always look like this, so you guys got lucky.
Yeah.
So everything is labeled really well. You have all your final inspection stickers here. Just remember, it'll look red when it trips. You can't just push back on. You have to go all the way off to reset it and then back over. These are all your single circuits. This is your main breaker for the 200 amp service. I always tell customers, if you're ever trying to go, HGTV and do things yourself, which, hey, that's fine, but with electric, you got to be careful. So if you're ever unsure of something, just do yourself a favor and turn the power off the whole house. Okay?
Okay.
Close that way. All right, so out here, as we talked about, just a base coat of asphalt now. So that'll come up. It'll get rid of the lip there and just bring it up about 2 to 3 inches. And then it'll be much nicer and prettier as well. So with asphalt, the nice thing about it is, it's a lot more forgiving in terms of like leaks or like scratches from like cars or whatever it may be. So there's really not too much in terms of care and maintaining it. But if you ever wanted to have it like seal coated, that's something you could do it closes the pores of the asphalt, the aggregate itself, and you can just have a little bit smoother surface. But an asphalt driveway is pretty low maintenance, but I'll coordinate with you. And typically all it involves is saying like, hey, next week we're looking to do top coats. Maybe Tuesday I'll let you know if that's what it ends up looking, then I'll just ask you to move your car.
Right. Okay.
And then, again, winter stabilized lot, so we'll come back, rake all this up, roll out our sod. It'll be, we come out, we rake all this up, then they'll run irrigation, which will probably be a day, and then they'll come back, put in the mulch beds, elevate that a little bit, put in shrubbery, flowering plants, an arborvitae or two, and then they'll mulch it, sod it, and then you'll be good to go in terms of final landscaping.
I would say, I know it's tough to visualize. Do you know what the rough landscape plan is, other than the sod, in terms of what they do typically?
I believe it'll be, this will have a bed here, and then you'll have another bed up front, and then usually they'll do like a mini bed over here, but not always, because that one ends up getting neglected.
Yeah, right.
So it all kind of depends.
Okay.
I haven't, every house type is different, so I haven't seen a St. Lawrence landscaped yet out of it.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll have a better idea, obviously, once yours is done. Yours will be the guinea pig in terms of the landscaping. So,
Okay.
Trying to think. Exterior-wise, so all AZAC vinyl siding, vinyl shutters, vinyl windows. You have your stone with the waterproofing membrane behind it attached to the OSB sheathing, and it's got 2 scratch coats and the wire lath that it's all secured to, and that's been inspected 3 times, actually. So if you ever notice white streaks on the stone, it's called effervescence. It's a mineral that starts to bleed out. And it's usually the winter months. So we've made it through a pretty cold winter, and we don't have anything that's showing right now. But if you ever do start to notice it, usually it'll rinse off with during the summer and like warm rainfall.
Okay.
And then I'm trying to think what else. You saw they adjusted that column.
Yeah. That was
they plumbed it up, and they got it more flush with the face of the porch there. It's pretty tight tolerances. I will say they're not exactly perfect, but we try to get them as best.
Yeah, it looks good. Yeah.
As best we can.
See the added stonework.
Yep.
That's
nice. Added stonework, and then with your gutter, that's with the service center. They're going to come out and try to adjust that. I told them so. Just keep in mind. So I'm not sure if you noticed on the other St. Lawrence's. So
Mm.
when we do, if they were to put it to the side, it is gonna come
Yeah.
out a bit like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah,
And I
that's
told them if they can't get it how we want on this end, I told them they have to at least line it up with the corner post.
Yeah, I think that'd
and
be,
just
yeah.
make it a little bit more flush.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's fine. Yeah.
And then,
It's a minor picky thing, but that's
It's all right.
whatever.
Hey, I try to take care of you guys when
Yeah.
I can. These guys just keep quiet. These things blow away.
Yeah.
They're all over the place. They're
Mhm.
just downspout. We call them splash blocks.
Mm.
They're more important once we do finals.
I was going to say, is there a reason they're flipped backward? Yeah.
And so that's what I do.
Okay.
On
Is that-
asphalt, it doesn't make a difference because nothing's
Right.
going to wash away.
Yeah.
But there, in my opinion, it just slows down the water just a little bit.
That's
more.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some guys look at me and say that's not true.
Okay.
It's just one thing I do. I put them backwards. It drives guys nuts. But you guys can be the judge of that once you have final landscaping,
Right.
and then you can put them however you want. I do recommend, though, and your home inspector actually might too, extensions if you wanted to do the
Mhm.
extra mile and just get it further away from your home.
Mhm.
Okay?
Okay.
So, and then obviously once we do that final coat of asphalt too, it'll bring it up a little bit more.
Yeah, it'll bring it,
and
yeah.
like any old mortar and stuff, that'll all
Yeah,
be covered up, and you
Mhm.
won't see that anymore.
Mhm.
So it'll look nice and pretty and finished.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Screwing light bulbs out here, so you just unscrew them that way and change them out in that fashion.
Mhm.
Trying to think. Oh, over here.
Mhm.
So, you've got, when we were talking about the clean out in the basement,
Yeah.
this is an additional clean out here.
Okay. Okay.
So-
That's good.
This is a 3-inch line sewer stack. You'll see them all throughout the community. They're up higher when we're under construction, but when we're finished, we cut them to grade. I leave this a little high because it does still need sod.
Mhm.
A plumber would just unscrew that, and then they can run a snake through it if they needed to.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
And then this over here. So this is Comcast. I do need. To
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I do need to leave this for Comcast.
Mhm.
So they run their fiber or their low voltage through here, and then they'll plumb it all the way up. So we have, or actually, you know what? Sorry, this isn't yours. This is theirs.
That's it, right?
Yeah, that's theirs. Yours is already ran. The
Mhm.
orange wire is Comcast. The blue and black are yours. So
Okay.
we can actually walk over here.
Mhm.
So, and then this is still the same clean out. It's all
Okay.
it angles over, so still the same sewer clean out. Okay.
Mhm.
Electric meter here. The new 2021 code requires an emergency disconnect, so that's also a disconnect there. Low voltage coax and Ethernet. When you have Comcast come out, they'll put a junction box there, and that'll all look tidied up.
Okay.
Hose bib, and then you have your irrigation stub out. That'll have a box that gets attached to it as well to control. So that
Mhm.
still looks a little unfinished as well, obviously. And then that's just a grounding wire there.
Right. Okay.
And then gas meter, pretty straightforward for a gas meter.
Mhm.
Not too much to go over. Obviously, if there's ever any issues with this, you can call South Jersey Gas.
Mhm.
And then we kind of already spoke about the backyard upstairs, but now that we're out here, so we do have, like I mentioned, exterior light, exterior receptacle, your guardrail. No, we don't put any shutters on the rear of our home, so
Yeah.
but everything is vinyl in terms of the exterior, except for obviously your concrete foundation.
Mhm.
And then let's see here. So vent for your fireplace, so it does vent up and out. But yes, be careful. That does get hot. And then you have your furnace flues or your tankless water heater flues, and then here are your bathroom downstairs and then your ERV vents.
Okay.
So intake and exhaust,
Mhm.
and then your window well.
Mhm.
So egress window well, I should call it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And then let's see. You don't have a drain back here that I need to make you guys aware of. Like I said, this does follow pretty closely to your property lines, although you are going to get a copy of your final survey on Monday.
Okay.
What else? I can't think of anything else out here really. That's your exterior.
Yeah, that's
That's
it, yeah.
just tucked away. Okay, so any foundation we know, a ramen bag.
Yeah.
Gotta
It's
stay
important, yeah.
full on the job.
Yeah.
Ejector pump or sump crock ejections there. So they each have their own little backwards splash blocks.
Okay.
Hose bib, that is your furnace flues there. And then your exterior condenser and that line set that I showed you when we were downstairs in the basement. This is just a disconnect. Actually, you know what? So, this right here, it's probably off since we're not really using the cooling. Although the home inspector, he might have turned it on, which he did. Okay, so this is your AC disconnect. So this is a fuse right here. So you put your 2 fingers behind it and you pull it out. Okay?
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
So these do go bad. If you ever needed one, I mean, if you weren't taking care of yourself, an HVAC contractor would know to replace this if they needed to, if they needed to troubleshoot. But usually, if you ever have a service call for your HVAC system, the first thing they're going to ask you to check
The fuse, yeah.
or this, or literally the red emergency switch next to the furnace. So they'll ask you to check these first. So this is on, and you know it because it's nice and secure. When it's off, it's actually very loose.
Okay.
So you literally just put it in and out with 2 fingers there, and that'll take care of that. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, my old apartment had a problematic AC unit.
So you're
like
familiar.
very familiar with all that. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
And then we have an exterior receptacle here as well. Okay.
So the hose bibs, they're just on either side?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's how they did it. Okay.
All right. So, any questions out here?
Anything you can think of? Any questions? Not that I can think of.
This isn't saying exactly if it's like our schedule in production is typically 4 months. So
Okay,
when
that's what
we
they
come
typically-
back, do our top coat. But this just kind of tells you a little bit about things to expect. Being careful on driving over the edges. So if you ever wanted to like drive on your front lawn and go over the edge, you could start to maybe like collapse it a little bit. Talks
Okay.
about seal coating like I mentioned. Things like that. Just being careful about parking really heavy items on it.
Yeah, I know they mentioned like for any moving vans or anything like
Correct,
that is
yeah. It's pretty thick, this base coat. I think I forget how many inches it is exactly, but like our concrete driveways, you crack that and then you gotta rip it out. But asphalt is a lot more forgiving. You can patch asphalt. So I definitely prefer the asphalt. Okay, but landscaping, we do not warranty our landscaping, all right? So landscaping, you got to make it your baby. You get out of it what you put into it. Okay. So we're kind of going the extra mile and giving you that irrigation. That's going to help, especially the sides and the front. Okay, so your yard will be seeded, fertilized, strawed and tacked in the rear, sod in the front. No warranty on the life of the grass or the plants. So it emphasizes it. Watering. Okay, so just make sure you're watering, especially with the rear. That's going to take a little bit more labor love. To get that to germinate and look like a fully sodded and matured lawn, right?
Okay.
So you will have to overseed, fertilize, aerate, etc. It's like a good yard. A good yard takes a lot of time. There you go. It's kind of a cheesy.
Yeah.
So, and then it talks about fertilizing September, October, December. I'm more of like a March and October guy. You will have weeds. You're responsible for pulling weeds, and then it literally describes what a weed is. Keeping your mower blade sharp. So with the lawnmower, right? If you're keeping up with the mower blades, it's a more crisp cut. It prevents fungus and disease on grass blades. Within the first year, we'll provide a one-time basis labor and material to fill any settled areas. So basically, wherever we dug trenches for utilities to your home, if there's ever any settled areas within the first year, we'll come back and provide the labor and materials to correct that. Erosion is not a warrantable item. So there's my plastic downspout covers that come into play. So just make sure those stay in place. It gets windy out here and those things fly away. Without them, the dirt does start to erode. Grass growing as quick as possible, that keeps dirt in place. It also prevents rocks from settling to the surface of the dirt, which is inevitable. When you have bare dirt and it rains, it washes away the dirt and rocks are exposed. So that is, there it even says it expects rocks, okay? This talks about the county developer role of designing community surface water flow. So with this is basically saying, you know, your home is designed for water to flow down and away. Here, it goes down, away, and to the left. In the front, it goes down and into the streets and out to the street inlets. If you're ever doing exterior improvements, decking, fence, patio, you want to make sure you're not disturbing that and preventing water from getting down and away and to its means of drainage. Okay. If you have a well exit here, you're responsible to maintain the floor drain area to keep it free and clear of debris. So where the aggregate is in that little drain, just make sure you're keeping up with that so that drain doesn't get clogged. And then this talks about we will have the right to enter the lot anytime after settlement for the purpose of making exterior changes to the lot or adjacent lots, including but not limited to grading and drainage, the removal or planting of trees. So that's saying we could come back. I can do my final landscaping. The developer can plant his street trees that he's required to. I believe you get 3. We can come back and take care of those items. Where I'm always good. If I have to do anything, I'm going to text you first.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just need your initials on those lines saying we talked about those. So did you guys have any questions about anything you wanted to address? Obviously, I'm going to try to take care of that right before settlement. I'm trying to have my guy come back today and take a look at it. And then that little punch hole up in the closet. There was a few outlet covers that I missed that I still want to take care of. Is there anything else?
No, the gutter thing you mentioned.
Yeah, the gutter, yeah. Like I said, I just can't guarantee that's done by Monday.
Yeah.
It has to go through their service center, and technically it is done properly. We're just going to try to make it a little bit better to what you want.
Yeah, and then I'll pass along whenever we get the inspection. So
Yeah.
I think that's it, though.
All right, cool.
And so that is the Week 18 update, and ultimately, essentially marks the end of construction on our new Ryan Homes St. Lawrence. Now, hopefully this video has been of some help to you. Feel free to leave a like and subscribe if it has. Again, if this is the first time seeing this video on the channel, or you haven't seen the many other videos in this Ryan Homes St. Lawrence build series, I would definitely encourage you to take some time, go through the build week by week, step by step. You can see the progress on all the changes that took place and how the trades work through the home, any little adjustments that were made, and some of the different things that we experienced week to week. And I would say if you're going through a similar Ryan Homes build or any sort of new construction build with a major national builder as we did, hopefully there's some good points and takeaways you can learn from this build series that will be applicable to you. Now, this is not, and of course, far from the last video you're going to see related to our home and this build series. I'm going to be doing we're going to call it again a 1-month update video once we have ourselves moved in and gone through all of that different process, which you should see some coverage on the house there. Feel free to ask any questions you have in the comments below. Always willing to have a chat there, and we'll respond to anything as I see them. Get ready for the 1-ish month update. I think that'll be an interesting video to cover. For now, that is all I have to say. So thanks for watching.